Pipeline the Surf Coaster at SeaWorld Orlando. This is SeaWorld's newest high-thrill roller coaster, and it's definitely one of the most unique rides at this park. In this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on Pipeline and prepare you whenever you travel out to SeaWorld Orlando to try it out. So as a bit of backstory, Pipeline is the first ever surf coaster opening back in 2023. If you're not familiar with what a surf coaster is, you might be familiar with what a stand-up coaster is. Examples include Vortex at Carowinds, Georgia Scorcher at Six Flags Over Georgia, Riddler's Revenge at Six Flags Magic Mountain, etc. These roller coasters were known for not being the most comfortable rides, so the company that made these rides, which is B&M, they took the seats of those rides but gave them some room to pop up and down for a more comfortable ride experience. So when you're going over an airtime pop, your whole body lifts off the floor, and it's a very cool sensation. So let's start this review off with the presentation for Pipeline. So as you pull up to SeaWorld, Pipeline just dominates the skyline with its aqua blue track and light blue supports, and it's a beautiful ride. The ride itself is located towards the right side of the park, and as a tip to get to the ride faster, try to pass through the Flamecraft bar while you can. It'll save you some time. A cool thing about Pipeline is that the pathway is underneath the ride itself, and the landscaping is pretty too with the foxtail palms everywhere. And then you're greeted with the ride's entrance, and there is a test seat if you want to try it out. I will say though, it is a little stiff to bob up and down compared to the actual seats itself. As for the queue, it's surprisingly small. There is some shade which is appreciated, and then as soon as you reach the station, it's not anything too crazy. And by the way, if you go to SeaWorld on a dead day, you can pick out any row you like. But if you go on a busy day, there will be a row assigner, but they can't accept your row request for the front or back if you ask nicely. So after waiting a bit extra, you'll enter the train, pull down your Vesta String and dispatch, and that will lead us into the ride experience. Getting yourself into the train is a little tricky since you have to put on the whole bike seat before you can fit yourself in. So you roll out of the station, and then you stop for a brief moment, and bam, you're launching to the ride's top speed of 60 miles an hour. And in this launch, there is a little airtime hill which introduces a very cool moment of weightlessness. You just shoot up off the board, and it's crazy. Afterwards, you'll rise up into an overbank turn, which is the highest moment of Pipeline at 110 feet. While leaving it, there is a very tiny hint of airtime, but it's not that noticeable. But the moment after that is easily the best part of the ride. So you exit the overbank and then enter into an off-axis hill. And this airtime hill is freaking crazy. This is the reason why we need more surf coasters. Like the airtime hill on the launch, you really lift off the board, and it's a very fun element. Then after that is a little splash effect which rises up into the ride's loan inversion, a corkscrew, and it's pretty solid. You lift up a tiny bit at the apex, then you slowly climb up half of an airtime hill and bank to the right into a helix. And this part of the ride introduces Pipeline's second half, which is just a lot of bank turns. And then after exiting that helix, you'll whip to the left for a turnaround, then stall out a bit to the right, bank to the left, and back to the right with another helix. Then comes a quick ESO which delivers a sharp pop of airtime. Afterwards is another bank turn which will send you to the brake run, and that concludes your ride experience on Pipeline. And while you're riding, with the trend of these new B&M coasters, it has a very noticeable rattle, especially in the second half. You can literally see the seats in front of you shaking while experiencing a moment of positive G's. And there's also another thing that you might notice while riding. The vest restraints really dig into your collarbones throughout the ride, and it makes it hard to focus on the forces, so that isn't great. But this isn't a bad ride. Pipeline is amazing. It is by far a top 3 ride at this park alongside Manta and Mako, and I also love how it's different from not just every ride at SeaWorld Orlando, but in Florida as a whole. The state doesn't have many gaps, but this ride just adds so much diversity into the city of Orlando. But either way, when you're riding, you're gonna have a great time. And as a great tip, ride Pipeline in an odd numbered row. The rattle is not that noticeable in a row like 1, 3, or 11, but if you ride it in an even numbered row, the rattle is noticeably worse. And if you're a taller guest, you might not really like this ride. And that's because when you're experiencing a moment of airtime, your shoulders will really press up against the vest, and you might not lift up that much. So Pipeline's ride experience is different for everybody. But for me, I had a blast riding this over a dozen times. I've ridden Pipeline a total of 14 times for now, which I'm really proud of, and most of them were in row 11. That's by far the best row. So if you have the chance to ride it only one time, do row 11. So after all this consideration, what's the final score for Pipeline? I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. This is an amazing coaster, not the best in SeaWorld Orlando, but definitely not the worst. The biggest flaw with it is of course the rattle, but if that didn't exist, the ride could be better than Manta. But with this current state, I love it. The layout is good, the airtime is very weird but in a good way. I remember riding it 5 times in a row because there was no line. I really hope that we see more of these in the future. So I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on Pipeline the Surf Coaster at SeaWorld Orlando? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and it's really appreciated if you take the time to support us. And if you want daily content, you can check out my shorts with daily roller coasters, where I talk about a different roller coaster every single day. And like always, make sure to keep that adrenaline pumping, and thanks for watching.